So being that this channel is about robots, it really catalogs some of the robots that I've actually been building. Really starting from the oldest to the newest and seeing how the advancing of how the building of robots come. You know, I originally wanted to have a very solar powered view robots, and I originally called the robot S.P.O.V.I.A, solar powered operational vehicle. You know, this is the very first robot that I attempted to put solar power. You know, there's no real measurements taken. This is, you know, a lawn solar power that originally went into the back here and attempted to power it, but you know, I believe it had 1 volt power, and I ended up needing 6 volts to power this, especially with the motors here. We're even slow with that, but you know, it's simple. We have the caster wheel, we have the two set motors that run separately of each other, you know, so we can have one go back, one forward at the same time. You know, the classic on button. We're using Arduino, well, actually it's Arduino and the shield, and the breadboard part of the shields. We use the H bridge, which to run the motors, and also regulate the battery. So we had a certain power coming in the 5 volt straight to the Arduino, and then the servo and the ultrasonic sensor basically for the robot to identify with its environment. You know, it worked out. Very simple robot, and then representing NASA when we did the work with Goddard. And then that even moving on to the next one. So for the artificial intelligence conference, I actually built a robot to use artificial intelligence. So right here, first of all, we can see it's much bigger than the last one. But right here, we see the photo sensors 1, 2, 3, and as we get to the fourth right here. And we use those photo sensors basically to identify with what light, the strongest light in each direction, in a small neural net. So we had the 4 inputs. It would go to the 5-node neural net. Then we'd have the outputs, and basically to the 2 motors and which directions it would go. And we have a video of it doing that where one is covered up, so we basically see it, turn direction, identify where to go. I think we see one of these loosened here things. That was actually from a camera we were supposed to have here that did just for more identification. But due to some of the Arduino Wi-Fi connections, we were able to reprogram it. I'd actually like to do much more with this robot here. It has a lot more potentials. You can maybe see the transmitter in there we tried to work with to change different states of the robot to where we had the AI properties and where it didn't do AI, where it showed the difference between AI and just non-AI programmings. See, it's a lot more rough trouble. We got strong wheels here in the clear. But also about this, we have the solar powered here. I can show we can see that very strongly. The solar panel here, 12 volts. It would have taken solar panel. So you taken and used solar panel. So it's a light sensitive robot that is solar powered. Yes, and actually worked quite well. And so it isn't simply just the solar power just charged those to the motors. We actually have a solar powered module here. So it took in energy, the solar power, it took in energy and actually went store in the battery, and then still able for its own use. This is something that I usually keep it outside. It's not currently charged right now, and charged down when not outside. But it worked pretty well. I can admit this was basically for a state to inference, rovers, to inference in, that's really what we want to do. And this is what Move Over Rover is about. This is, the first, to have to allowing people to more build rovers, allowing to show more about robots and the capabilities, the outside of our atmosphere. So the last one was very Arduino, and the first one was Arduino. So they had very almost limited capabilities when getting to AI, but now we're going to something stronger. Instead of a microcontroller, we have a microprocessor. Now we're getting to some Raspberry Pi. So this one is unfinished currently. It's just the GPIO pins. We're still working on the Python software to have it to be our AI. So right here, I'm just going to start off. We have the camera. I'll pull it out a little bit. But the camera that goes with the Raspberry Pi here, that we do want to start having the machine learning tools, basically image recognizing software in some sort of manner. There's a lot of new image recognition software. I didn't point out last one, but there's one also, the LCD screen here. And actually getting to more rover-like symbolism, this is probably one of the closest to Sojourner, which we have pictured here in the gold. Because we have the system here. It's bench system. I want to say. Oh, pardon me. I actually have the robots. excuse me, let me use the correct system. It's a rocker boogie system. So we can actually go up and down things more easily. We have the turning rod here. So we're actually able to climb, and motors still able to be careful. You know, you see on the Sojourner here, when we use in one of the first Mars rovers. And you see the multitude of sensors. First of all, this is a Raspberry Pi. This is the A+ here. And you know, we're using different Python software to code it differently and a lot more processing. You know, it has basically a computer by itself with the RAS being loaded. Now we have tilt sensor. For when it goes up, I want it to be, you know, be able to read when it's going up. We have the LCD. There was actually an LCD screen on the Clear robot, the Spovia, before this. We have the buzzer. I want buzzer, temperature humidity sensor, IR sensor, basically so it can communicate and actually start reading things, actually doing something with itself as a robot. You know, tell the temperature and humidity on the LCD screen. So that's something we're working toward now, but we just had it built. Oh. And then, last but not least, we have the ultrasonic sensor, which we've seen on the very first robot to, you know, help it identify. Hoping to add some IR sensors to well-round it to make it a more sophisticated robot. And the 7.2 volts, we have the LCD, a lot of motor movements right at the bottom here, and the battery. And hoping to do solar power at the top here, so that would be an update. Thank you again.